John stood outside Emily's door, clutching a small bracelet tightly. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open just a crack more.
Don't rush, the door isn't closed yet.
Hearing the man's voice, John felt his heart pound in his chest. He confirmed the door number, knowing it was Emily's home. He carefully pushed the slightly ajar door open further.
You're so good at this, I wonder if your online admirer has ever seen you like this?
How could I let someone like him touch me? I'm with him just to support you.
It's my birthday today, and he transferred 13,145.20 to me first thing in the morning. Take good care of me, and tomorrow we'll buy those sneakers you wanted.
John's fists clenched tightly as he stepped forward, wanting to smash the bracelet in his hand against Emily, but seeing her fare back, he couldn't bring himself to do it. He put the bracelet back in his pocket.
What are you doing?
Emily frowned, looking at John in shock. She quickly grabbed the clothes on the floor to cover herself.
John, are you crazy? How dare you barge in here uninvited? Get out!
John felt a pang of pain. 2 years of a platonic relationship, and now he's uninvited?
You stopped me from coming to see you because of this, didn't you? I've been supporting you for 2 years, and you do this behind my back? How could you?
You chose to be with me, and you chose to give me money. What does your scrimping and saving have to do with me? Besides, you're the fool who chose to be my lapdog and let me deceive you. I sweet-talked you, and you lost your way. I already told you we broke up. Even if I'm with another man now, it's none of your business.
You can't just unilaterally break up with me. We're just taking a break.
Well, we're breaking up now. You heard me, I was just using you for your money. I can't stand a disgusting and poor man like you.
John looked down at his deformed shoes, his heart aching sharply. For 2 years, he gave her everything, all his savings, and now she wants to break up with him.
I don't believe it. I don't believe you have no feelings for me. You must be embarrassed because I caught you cheating, so you said those hurtful things. If I forgive you and give you a way out, you'll come back to me. It must be like this.
John nervously held the bracelet in his hand and knelt in front of Emily.
You said you'd marry me on May 20th this year. I'm proposing to you now, okay? I don't blame you. Just come back to me.
Emily threw the bracelet in John's hand to the ground, leaned close to his ear, and laughed mockingly.
You want to marry me? Then go away. Maybe in your next life, if you're born into a good family, I'll marry you.
Really?
John stood on the windy bridge, staring at the rushing water below. Memories of the past 2 years with Emily flashed through his mind. He truly loved her. For her, he had worked tirelessly, eating only one cheap meal a day and transferring all his money to her just to hear her call him husband.
Why did you lie to me, Emily? You said you loved me, wanted to marry me.
With trembling hands, he took out his phone and opened her WeChat profile. He pressed the voice message button, letting the sound of the wind on the bridge be recorded.
Honey, I'm standing on the bridge now. If I jump, will you marry me?
He sent the message, but there was no reply for a long time. He stared at their chat for a while, then opened her moments. Her latest post was from 5 minutes ago. In the picture, she was holding a cake, wearing the ring he bought her, and smiling happily in another man's arms. She had written, "You have to throw away the trash to find true love. Happy birthday to me."
I wanted to wish her a happy birthday too.
His phone suddenly vibrated. He quickly looked down and saw a voice message from Emily. He immediately played it.
Stop bluffing. If you have the guts, jump. I'll respect you as a man. If you don't dare, then get lost and never contact me again.
Hearing Emily's cold and heartless voice, John grabbed the railing with trembling hands and climbed up with a determined heart. At that moment, he just wanted to know if she would regret saying those hurtful words if he actually jumped.
Kid, don't do anything rash. There's no obstacle in life you can't overcome.
More and more people gathered on the bridge, looking at him with worried faces, trying to persuade him to come down. George, standing not far from him, looked at John with a kind and concerned expression, reminding him of his father.
George is right. I can't just end it like this. I'm only 22. Even if Emily regrets it after I'm gone, what would it matter?
Looking at the people around him holding up their phones, John knew he couldn't just climb down in shame. He didn't want Emily to laugh at him, nor did he want to admit defeat and break up with her, letting her get away with everything.
Since she could set me up and take my $60,000, I could also play along and get it all back.
Looking at the rushing water below, he deliberately threw his phone onto the bridge and jumped without hesitation. John was rescued and taken to the hospital after a desperate act. He fell into a coma due to water in his lungs. When he finally woke up, he found himself surrounded by people with phones and cameras.
As we understand, your jump from the bridge was related to your girlfriend's infidelity, correct?
John stared at the camera light, his mind blank for a moment.
It's not just that she cheated on me. She also took all my savings. That money was for my medical treatment, but she said if I didn't give her the money, she would leave me. I loved her so much. I didn't want to break up, so I kept transferring my treatment money to her.
John lowered his head and coughed violently, reaching for his phone on the bedside table.
She forced me to write that every transfer was a voluntary gift. Now I have nothing left. What should I do?
With a pale face, John covered his mouth and cried bitterly.
This woman is so ruthless, taking money meant for someone's treatment. She did this on purpose to push you to the edge.
Others around nodded in agreement.
I'll look into who this woman really is.
John clenched his fists tightly, determined to show Emily he wasn't stupid, just blinded by love.
We found her. Emily, 27, unemployed. She used to work at a nightclub and later became an internet celebrity. But her account was banned after being exposed as a homewrecker. For the past 2 years, she has been fishing online with a pure and mature image, continuously taking money from her partners. Once their money was gone, she would move on to the next target.
Listening to the reporter, John's clenched fists trembled slightly. The reporter's phone suddenly rang. The word wife was particularly glaring on the screen.
Don't be afraid. Everyone here will stand by your side. We will make sure this woman gets what she deserves.
John nodded tearfully, pressing the speaker button with trembling fingers.
Are you out of your mind? Why did you make those idiots harass me online? I'm already fed up with people blocking my door every day, demanding justice. If you're still alive, go online and clear our relationship, or I will never forgive you.
Listening to Emily's cold and selfish voice, John's heart turned completely cold.
I can clear our relationship, but you have to return all the money I spent on you over the past 2 years.
Michael hung up the phone amidst Emily's sharp curses. It was the first time he had ever hung up on her. In the past, no matter what she said to him, he couldn't bear to hang up. But just now, hearing her voice brought him no happiness, only disgust. It turned out that this was how she had always felt about him.
I don't have money to pay you right now, but if you can help me get back the money she deceived me out of, I can give it all to you.
Don't worry. We're not helping you for the money. We just want justice. We'll help you contact a lawyer. We'll do our best to get back the money you spent on her.
Michael looked at David gratefully and sent him screenshots of his chat history with Emily, transfer records, and his food delivery orders. Over the next 3 days, Michael and Emily frequently trended on social media. Influencers tirelessly spoke out on Michael's behalf, condemning Emily. For a while, he became the unappreciated, devoted boyfriend and a symbol of pure love, while Emily became the target of online abuse, labeled as a cheater, a fraud, and a homewrecker.
I've reviewed your transfer records. The words voluntary gift you wrote don't hold legal weight. Except for amounts with special significance, the rest of the money can be recovered.
Hearing the lawyer's words, Michael finally felt relieved. Tears welled up in his eyes as he looked at the lawyer, too choked up to speak. On the 5th day of the ongoing situation, Emily still hadn't contacted Michael. He decided to call her to demand his hard-earned money back. The phone rang for a long time before she answered. Her crying voice came through.
Michael, how could you cheat on me with an older woman behind my back? Do you have any shame? Everything you wear and use was bought by me. I've been juggling relationships with several men for the past 2 years just to give you the life you wanted. Now that you've found someone better, you want to kick me to the curb? I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. Unless I'm gone, you can't leave me.
Listening to Emily's hysterical voice, Michael rubbed his temples. It turned out that no matter who it was, being overly devoted would ultimately leave you with nothing.
Get lost. You're a disgrace online now. I'm only 22. Why should I stay with someone like you?
Michael heard a door slam, followed by the sound of Emily throwing things and then her crying. After a long time, just as he was about to hang up, Emily's voice suddenly came through again.
John, I know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance? I realize now that you're the only one who truly loves me and treats me well. Everyone else has ulterior motives. Can we go back to how things were?
More than you, I want my hard-earned money back.
Emily didn't respond. She sobbed a few times, her voice full of grievance.
John, I'm pregnant. The child is yours.
I never expected Emily to set me up. She deliberately answered my call and staged a scene with Michael, pretending to be a victim of a deceitful man. Then, she earnestly begged for my forgiveness and dropped the bombshell that she was expecting my child, turning the whole situation around. Seeing the mixed comments online, I lowered my eyes and laughed coldly. She had certainly mastered the art of manipulating the internet. I didn't understand the ways of the internet and didn't want to get entangled with her any further. All I wanted now was to get my hard-earned money back and return to my work. I called the lawyer I had contacted before. I want to sue Emily.
If you sue her now, public opinion might turn against you. Emily is claiming that the child she's carrying is yours, and she's constantly posting regretful messages online, saying she wants to reconcile with you. If you sue her now, you might fall into her trap. If she insists that the money was for the child's welfare, we could end up in a difficult position.
I tightened my grip on the phone. The child she's carrying is definitely not mine because I never touched her. The lawyer was silent for a moment.
If you can prove that the child has nothing to do with you, Emily won't be able to turn the situation around.
To prove that the child Emily was carrying had nothing to do with me, I decided to play along with her. I bought some professional surveillance equipment and 520 roses. Standing outside Emily's apartment with the roses, I shouted through a loudspeaker towards her window. Honey, I forgive you. For the sake of the child, let's get back together. My voice was loud enough for the whole building to hear, but Emily didn't come out. Seeing her tightly shut window, I laughed coldly. Her public pleas for reconciliation were fake. She just wanted to use the "I have a child" tactic to take my money. I shouted for a long time until one of Emily's neighbors knocked on her door, and she reluctantly came downstairs. She frowned, looking at me with annoyance.
Why are you making such a scene? If you want to reconcile, talk to me privately. The neighbors won't be happy with this.
Reconcile? How did she twist my words like that? I shoved the flowers into her hands, held her hand gently like I used to, and smiled foolishly at her. I love you. Even if the child isn't mine, I'll help you raise it. From today, I'll live with you and continue my job as a delivery driver. I believe that if I work hard, I can give you and the child a good life. Ignoring Emily's surprised look, I wrapped my arm around her waist and led her towards the building. She pushed me away irritably and shoved the flowers back into my arms.
We don't need to live together just because we're reconciling.
If I didn't live with her, how could I make her uncomfortable? get her to talk, and keep an eye on her next steps. I frowned and took out my phone, turning on the recording function. You weren't lying about wanting to reconcile, were you? If you don't want to get back together, I'll sue you and make you return the $60,000. John looked down at his deformed shoes, his heart aching sharply.
Emily, you can't mean that. I gave you everything for 2 years. I don't believe you have no feelings for me.
Oh, believe it. I was just using you for your money. I can't stand being with someone like you.
Emily, please. You said you'd marry me on May 20th. I'm proposing to you now. Let's make things right.
John nervously held the bracelet in his hand and knelt in front of Emily.
I don't blame you. Just come back to me.
Emily threw the bracelet to the ground, leaned close to John's ear, and laughed mockingly.
You want to marry me? Then go away. Maybe in your next life, if you're born into a good family, I'll marry you.
Really?
Lately, Emily lay in the hospital bed, her face pale. She had lost the baby.
I want Michael to pay. I want him to give me back all my money.
She looked at John with tear-filled eyes, reaching out to grab his hand, but he pulled away without hesitation. She froze for a moment, then burst into tears.
Now even you despise me? John, didn't you say you would love me forever? Are all men liars?
John looked at her and suddenly found her very unattractive, remembering how he had been blinded by her for 2 years.
If you want Michael to pay, you should use online public opinion. You're good at manipulating the internet. Now that you've lost the baby because of him, you can use that to fuel public outrage. Plus, with him deceiving you before, he might just return your money.
Emily looked at John, choking back her sobs.
After everything I did to you, you still want to help me?
Because I hate Michael too.
Under Emily's influence, Michael quickly became the target of online harassment. Although many criticized Emily, more people sympathized with her. Michael's actions were considered intentional harm, and the online impact was significant. Michael was so scared that he ran to the hospital to confront Emily in the middle of the night. As Emily's loyal follower, John naturally guarded her hospital room.
Emily's been used up by me, and you still want her? All the money you earned these 2 years was spent by me. She used you completely without giving you anything in return. Is a woman like that worth your effort?
Just give her the remaining money. If you don't, Jessica and I won't let you off.
Haven't you ever seen a woman before? Knowing Emily played you, you still help her. Are you that pathetic?
Whether I'm pathetic or not is none of your business. If you don't return the money, I'll call the police right now.
Michael's face changed, but he tried to act tough.
Don't think I don't know the law.
John handed him his phone with the lawyer's number on it.
Call and ask if you don't believe me.
Michael frowned and threw a bank card at John.
Damn it, unlucky to meet a lunatic like you. This is all the money left. Tell Emily to take down those posts immediately, or I won't let you two off.
After Michael left, John bent down to pick up the bank card and looked at Emily sleeping in the hospital bed. No matter how much money was in there, it was enough for her to fall into James's trap. The next day, Emily woke up and grabbed the bank card from John's hand.
John, if I make it big this time, I'll live a good life with you.
Watching Emily rush out, John lowered his eyes and sneered.
Live a good life with me. Does she deserve it?
After Emily left, John returned to her house, removed the listening devices, and edited the recordings. He sent the evidence to Thomas, the lawyer.
You can prepare to file a lawsuit.
Emily returned just before dawn, disheveled and dazed. She threw herself into John's arms.
You're all I have left, John. I really only have you. I won a lot of money last time. Why did I keep losing this time?
What happened?
Last time, I helped James play and won $1 million in one night, but I didn't have the capital, so James took all the money. James promised me that if I could come up with the capital, he would guarantee huge profits. Why did I lose everything? That was $100,000, gone in the blink of an eye. John, don't you love me the most? Give me some more money, and I'll win back what I lost, okay? This time I can definitely win. Really, John, believe me. I can win a lot of money and live a good life with you.
John pushed Emily to the ground.
Stop dreaming. You can't win because James was arranged by me.
Emily looked at him in shock, shaking her head frantically.
Impossible! How could a country bumpkin like you know someone like James? Stop talking nonsense. Go make money for me. Don't you love me and want to support me? Give me money.
Emily lunged at John like a madwoman. He sidestepped her, and she fell heavily to the ground. She knelt in front of him, reaching for his pants leg.
John, I was wrong. I shouldn't have played with your feelings. I shouldn't have treated you like an ATM. Please forgive me. I'll live a good life with you from now on. I'll only love you. Please don't leave me.
John squatted in front of her, frowning in disgust.
Don't cry yet. You'll have plenty of reasons to cry later. I've already filed a lawsuit against you. You have to pay back every penny of that $60,000.
John, how can you do this to me? Didn't you say you wouldn't ask for the money back if I stayed with you? How can you go back on your word? How can you deceive me?
You can deceive me, play with me, and push me to the brink. Why can't I go back on my word? Emily, I once offered you my heart, but you kicked it to pieces. This is all your own doing. You deserve it.
John stepped over Emily and walked out. Behind him, he could hear her regretful wails.
John, give me another chance.
John won the lawsuit against Emily. Although he only recovered a little over 400,000 yuan, it was the best outcome for him. Emily had no money, so the bank had to auction off her house. Her house wasn't big and wasn't in a good location, so it only sold for 350,000 yuan. The remaining 50,000 yuan would be repaid by Emily in monthly installments. Narrator, Tone, relieved the moment he received the bank card. He called David and Thomas to thank them, but they refused any gratitude. In the end, he made banners for each of them as a token of appreciation. Later, John met James again. James was driving a Panamera, dressed in a custom-made suit, and wore a watch worth millions. Sitting across from John, he spoke confidently.
James, Tone. Cheerful look at you. With such good looks. Why are you delivering food? When you first came here, I asked you to join me, but you refused. Now, do you want to join me? I guarantee that in 2 years, you'll be as successful as I am.
John shook his head, taking a sip of the coffee he wasn't used to.
John, Tone, serious I don't have your business acumen, James. Delivering food is enough for me. I can't get used to living in this big city. I'm planning to go back tomorrow. I really appreciate your help. If it weren't for you.
James, Tone. Curious, speaking of which, guess what Emily is doing now?
John, Tone, serious I have no idea.
James laughed, leaning back in his chair.
James, Tone. Unfriendly. She's working at our nightclub, but her reputation is so bad that no one dares to hire her. If someone gets involved with her, it would be a disaster.
John lowered his eyes, feeling a pang of pity for her. Someone like her, who wanted to enjoy life without putting in any effort, might find the nightclub her last resort.
John, Tone, serious if you ever come back to our city, drinks are on me.
He blocked all of Emily's contact information. He didn't want the remaining 50,000 yuan either, to avoid giving her any excuse to cling to him. Instead of buying a ticket back to her city, he bought a ticket to his hometown. 3 years ago, he left home in a fit of anger and never returned. They tried to contact him, but he was too stubborn to communicate with them. Eventually, they stopped calling, except during the new year. Narrator, tone, Serious John was his parents' late child. They had him when they were in their 40s. They were getting old. His father had trouble walking, and his mother had cataracts. They lived off the small piece of land they owned. His sister had 3 children and was too busy to care about him. Narrator, tone, sad. Over the years, whenever he saw others reuniting with their families, he would blame his parents, thinking they didn't care about him. So when Emily showed him a little kindness, he fell for her and was willing to give her everything. But his parents and sister had given him so much more than Emily ever did. Looking back, he realized how foolish he had been. The bus stopped at the village entrance. John stood there, watching his father hobble towards him with a cane, and his eyes welled up with tears.
John, tone, relieved Dad.
His father's body stiffened slightly. He turned to look at John, his eyes lighting up.
Father, tone, excited. John, you're back. Now I can be at peace.